So did you ever write a fan letter? Kind of maybe an old school thing to do, but I did, and it changed my life. Let's talk about Star Trek The Next Generation, my fan letter, and how it led me to writing for Star Trek The Next Generation itself. So fan letters, that's right, fan letters. I was watching a podcast, really fun Vicki Lawrence interview. Great Carol Burnett show, right? One of the best. One of the true comedy legends that really influenced so much. Without the Carol Burnett show, we probably wouldn't have Saturday Night Live, which is still one of my favorites. Okay. So she's talking about how she got on the Carol Burnett show. She got it by writing a fan letter to Carol Burnett. It's incredible. And then, they met, and she was a young girl. She was barely in college. She was going into college, UCLA, and then Carol, took her, put her under her wing, gave her a shot on the show. She became great, became Mama in the family sketches, and then the Mama's Family sitcom, which I think ran for like 6 years. So what a success story. What does it have to do with me? Well, I wrote a fan letter, not to Carol Burnett, but I wrote one to Larry Nemecek. That is the author of the Star Trek The Next Generation Companion. Probably the best book about the production of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's the Bible. So at the time, I wasn't in college. I was trying to get accepted into my freshman year. So I bought the book and I wrote to Larry Nemecek. I gave him a list of errors within the book. Like I think I found 50 dozens. They're called photo flops. So, for example, say there's a picture from one of the episodes. There's Picard and Data and Riker and a guest star, and maybe the caption will be flopped. So instead of having one name there, whatever, and they're minor little errors, but obviously a publisher wants to know what to fix for the second edition, the subsequent editions. So anyway, I figured I'd do that, and then at the same time, I'd sort of pick Larry's brain and get his, overview of writing for Trek. Because within the book, there was, I'll never forget, the episode was, was a breakdown of the Next Gen episodes. And one of them is Clues, one of my favorites. And I remember how, the paragraph started to summarize the episode. Clues. Postal Star Trek fan and postal Arizona postal mail carrier Bruce D. Arthurs proved it could be done. He wrote a spec script, submitted it, and it was purchased. And this episode is based on it. And the light bulb went over my head. I'm going to do it. I can do this. This is a way to write for Hollywood, to be a Hollywood screenwriter and for Star Trek. So I wrote to Larry. He was great. He responded a couple weeks or. My Alexa just went off, that it was going to be something that would help me in getting to Star Trek. So he wrote back. It was great. And he gave me all the information, provided me the information to get to Paramount. Now, it's very unlikely. Back then, this is when we had computers, but we didn't have the net like we had today. We couldn't Google, really. Well, there was like what? I don't know. It was Yahoo search. I guess there was some type of Google. I don't know. It was very, very primitive. But Google and, of course, AI or all these things that we take for granted, like my Alexa went off, and information is so easy to obtain today. Information, data, facts are so easy to obtain. It wasn't back then. And also, Larry gave me sort of some tips. He said, what they're looking for, kind of an overview. It was a great letter. And I'm so thankful to Larry. I think I did tweet him and said thank you. I'm sure he knows by now. This was a while ago. So there you go, my friends. That is, I think, the great story about fan letters or fan interactions with celebrities, with stars across the board. If you've got a dream and if you've got something that you want to work to, you want a goal to fulfill, set that goal right. But also, be open, avail yourself of information and contact people, reach out. Happened to a lot of people. It worked for Vicki Lawrence. It worked for me, and again, there's a lot of things that could have happened in my life. And I might have written for Hollywood. I was writing short stories and articles, and I even, a novel outline and all that. But if Larry had not responded, or if I had not gotten the idea to reach out to him, would have turned out differently, like a temporal Cold War or temporal inconsistency, a timeline change. Who knows? So what do you think? Give us your stories right in the comments. What have you done in terms of fan letters? Anything? Or maybe you should still, because now we have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so we can get to them easily, much more easily, instead of just I had to snail mail it and drop it in the mailbox. So you could do it much, much easier now. So give us your feedback, your thoughts. Hope you're enjoying. Hope you're subscribing. See you soon.
Logic is the beginning of wisdom, but not with the Sci-Fi guy.